Cell phones. The agenda of the Pumpkin Lake Zoning Board of Adjustments, November 28, 2023. The following is the agenda for the regular meeting of the Pumpkin Lake Zoning Board of Adjustments. The meeting is to be held in the Municipal Building, 25 Lenox Avenue, on Tuesday, November 28, 2023, beginning at 8:00 p.m. A written advance notice has, what is that? A written advance notice, as required by NJSA 10:4-1, etc., has been provided of this meeting at least 48 hours in advance of today, given the time, date, and location, and to the extent known at the time of the agenda of this meeting. Such notice stated that formal action may or may not be taken. This meeting will be videotaped, recorded, and all will be rebroadcast for later viewing by the public. The notice was, one, posted on the bulletin board outside the offices of municipal clerk, reserved for this and other similar announcements. Two, provided to the Suburban Trends, the newspaper designated by the council and planning board to receive such notices, and filed with the borough clerk. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no one for oath of office. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Hunt.
Here.
Mr. Abate.
Here.
Ms. Curran.
Here.
Mr. Koss.
Here.
Ms. Bernstock.
Yes.
Mr. Rowan.
Here.
Mr. Baig.
Here.
Mr. Nook is absent. Mr. Luciani.
Here.
Mr. Fagula.
Here.
Mayor Sarah. Councilman Doyle. Okay.
Okay. Correspondence, we've had several from the Borough of Oakland, and also from Riverdale, a couple from Riverdale. Anybody have any questions regarding those correspondence? None? Good. Move forward. We're going to go to application BOA 23-07, Pro Print Graphics, LLC. Please go forward. Sorry?
Minutes.
Oh, jumped that, didn't we? I apologize, sir, 1 second. Everyone had the opportunity to read the minutes of our last meeting? Are any corrections or anything that needs to be done with the minutes? None? Can I get a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make the motion, she seconds it.
Okay. Roll call?
Okay, Mr. Hunt.
Yes.
Mr. Abate.
Yes.
Ms. Curran.
Present.
Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Ms. Bernstock.
Yes.
Mr. Rowan.
Yes.
Mr. Baig.
Yes.
Mr. Luciani.
Yes.
Mr. Fagula.
Yes. Apologize for that. Application is BOA 23-07 Pro Print Graphic LLC.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harold Cook. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 886 Belmont Avenue, Northdale, New Jersey, and I'm here to represent the applicant this evening. The applicant is actually Lane Contracting LLC. Pro Print Graphics LLC is the property owner. Lane Contracting LLC is the tenant. This is an application. There's going to be, the proposal is to make no physical changes to the property other than striping the parking. It's an application to permit the outdoor storage and parking overnight of 6 vehicles and 3 trailers. I have 2 witnesses this evening. I have Robert Weissman, who's the engineer and surveyor that prepared the plan in question, and we have Mr. Lane from Lane Contracting LLC. Mr. Weissman will describe the plan. Mr. Lane will describe what he actually does at the property. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to ask that we swear Mr. Weissman off. Good.
Yes. Let's go forward.
Please raise your right hand, state your name and spell your last.
Robert Weissman, W-E-I-S-S-M-A-N.
you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Mr. Weissman, are you a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey and a professional land surveyor?
I am.
Okay, and how long have you been so?
32 years
Is your license still in good standing?
this week, yeah.
Okay. And how about as of this morning? All right. And would you tell the board your educational background?
I've got a bachelor's degree in mass degree in civil engineering from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'm the owner of Weissman Engineering Company in Midland Park. Prepared subdivisions and site plans in northern New Jersey and appeared before many, many boards for over the past 30-some plus years.
In northern New Jersey, Passaic County, Bergen County, and all that?
Yes.
I offer Mr. Weissman as an expert in engineering and land surveying. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Weissman, did you have the opportunity to prepare the site plan that's part of the application in this matter?
Yes, I would like to do, so if you like, get like old school case, they set up a board for you to look at.
Sure.
Okay.
Should we label that?
All right. Mr. Weissman, before you actually describe the plan itself, I'd like you to describe the surrounding conditions of the property.
Sure. The property fronts on Greenwood Avenue and is bounded by north by a brook called Post Brook. On the south side by the railroad. It's pretty much isolated piece of property, again, abutted between the Post Brook and the railroad. Again, frontage on Greenwood Avenue. There's a building up close to the road, which houses the printing business. And then there's a small masonry building in the rear that encompasses the lane business.
Okay, would you describe the topography of the surrounding property
Sure.
relative to the site?
This property is, as you go from west to east towards the rear of the property slopes towards the brook and there's a culvert that goes underneath the railroad, to the southeast of the property. And so this back part of the property is really not visible from the road because of the building in front, the topography, and the railroad to the south and the stream to the north. The north side goes over and up to other properties that front on Greenwood Avenue.
Okay. Mr. Weissman, would you describe the plan and more particularly where the applicant intends to park the vehicles and store the containers?
Sure. This property's obviously been in existence for some time. There's some parking, I believe, in the front of Greenwood Avenue, the building along Greenwood Avenue, which we're proposing to eliminate any intrusions into the county right of way, and I'm assuming there's probably a little bit of difficulty maneuvering to get out into Greenwood Avenue. So we propose all parking to be done in the rear of the front building, with a couple of handicap spaces to go in, access the rear of the building on the westerly side of the property, and additional parking spaces along the easterly side of the upper parking lot. So there's an upper parking lot and a lower parking stone area that leads down along the retaining wall and a sloped driveway that goes down into the stone area. This masonry building has a stone area to the east of it that is proposed to be striped to some extent to provide some parking along that area and provide some trailer storage and some miscellaneous areas for the trailer storage and parking of vehicles.
Is it proposed that any parking of vehicles or storage of the containers will be in a floodplain?
No, everything that we're proposing is out of, there's some parking stalls that are, the 100-year flood elevation is traversing the property from, let's say, from west to east along the northerly side of the property. And the 100 floodplain goes up to this area, but based on discussions with the owner and the applicant, the water levels haven't gone up into the stone area. All the structures are outside of the floodplain, and the parking area in the back is for parking storage.
Will there be any, pursuant to your plan, will there be any physical changes to the site other than strike?
Other than striping, no.
I have nothing further of the engineer, perhaps the board may have some questions.
So what type of business is,
It's
Lane?
actually not a business, it's gonna be, I'm gonna have Mr. Lane testify
Okay.
in complete detail what he does.
okay. I don't have any questions. Anybody else?
I think most of the questions have been from Mr. Lane.
Right. Anybody else? None?
I do have a
Go
question.
ahead.
Was this property subject to flooding in the past? Do you know?
I can have Mr. Lane address that. He's been
Would you-
there 7 years.
And as a parking area is the
Here, the question.
area that you're concerned about for flooding, right? Is
It's
that the
it's
other-
out of the floodplain, and so I'll have Mr. Lane address it, but the area does not flood with this water.
Okay.
Is it, do we have a map of the flood map as far as where the flood line is?
Yes, and again, that's what shown me.
It's right there.
This is the limited flood,
that is the line.
flood line going in this here. So again, it goes to the north of the front building and again to the north of the rear building as it proceeds from west to east. So
See that?
all the structures are out of it. There's a couple parking spaces here that are within the 100-year flood zone, but again, based on my discussions with them, it's when they come up above the bank of the stream.
Excuse me, can you define what that line is along the Wanacue River that we're seeing that I believe is floodway
This line here, this is the edge of the boat.
on the side of the property?
So this is the top of the bank that I'm going along now. That's the edge of the macadam, and basically the top of the bank, and from there it slopes down towards the brook. And when you get, there's obviously a culvert that goes into the railroad at this point. Again, this line, that I have it labeled as limited to 80 flood zone for the panel that, it's a, flood zone map that traverses the property. And this is the 100-year flood line going along the brook.
I don't have the maps with me, but I kind of recall seeing along that river or stream that there's a floodway that is on either side of the center of the stream.
Yes.
And that seems to be going right along the property.
Right, well, here's the edge of the actual waterway right here. This is the edge of the stream itself. The water is, to the north and east of that line. Floodway is the line that would be probably somewhere along this bank that would be the actual floodway itself. And the 100-year flood elevation, which is the FEMA designation, is again up into the property in this location here.
Okay, so we are talking about the property being substantially within flood.
Portion of it is, yes, but along the stream itself, yes.
Not where the applicant is gonna park or store his containers, or proposes to do it.
But those containers can be removed at any time,
Yes,
though. I mean,
yes.
that's what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
is it written in, like, as far as, like, you guys can say, oh, we're not gonna put it there, but then as soon as you get the approval, like, yeah, we just happen to move it, the container over here,
It's
you
gonna be
know?
designated on the map, in fact, it is designated where they're gonna be, so that's where they do have to be. Can they physically be moved? Yes, but pursuant to an approval, you have to go according to the approved plan, and that's where they have to be stored.
If the board, I have no idea what the board is going to consider, if the board considered and voted in approval, they could impose a condition that there,
Yeah.
any parking outside of those line spaces would be a violation.
Yeah,
That would be absolutely,
That's it.
you can if you want.
And the applicant would have no problem with that. Counsel. If there's no further questions, Mr. Weitzman will bring up Mr. Lane, I think.
I have two
Hold on.
more questions.
I think the engineer does.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What are the trailers storage going to store?
I can have Mr. Lane testify to that.
I'm thinking that's the way.
Thank you, Chairman. Did you receive our letter dated October 10th?
I did. So, maybe we could go through some of the.
Yeah, so it was brought up about the floodplain line, what concerns about that. We have So this is strictly a restriping. There's no pavement from the lower parking lot
Correct.
down. Because when you, I don't know if the board members have gone out there, there's the upper parking lot that's paved. And
Yes.
then as you go down the side slope next to the brook, it goes down to a lower parking lot, which is denoted on the plan, edge of pavement. From that point down, it's broken up asphalt, gravel, items like that, on the left side of the building. With that, one, how are you striping on top of?
Well, it's gonna be a continual maintenance, you can strike stone, but it won't last that long, so it's gonna have to be.
That's the concern with the
continual.
maintenance aspect.
Understood, yes.
There's also an existing drain pipe, surface drain pipe, coming off of the upper parking lot, going across that driveway area that's denoted as private driveway. There's a sign for private driveway. It's a corrugated pipe that goes across the driveway, discharges into the brook. Are you aware of that?
What?
Are you aware of that?
Yes, actually, it's stopped by there tonight, and I saw
Is
it.
there permitting that you have for that? Do you know of,
I don't know where any permitting that would
because
be.
it's not shown on your plan.
No, it's actually a portable, I drove it out tonight, I actually drove over it, way down to, so I've been to the site in a little while, so I want to see it again. And it's a perforated, actually, I looked at it myself, so I wouldn't have to back out over it. But it's, just to get the drainage, I guess, at some point from the upper parking lot, Mr. Lane probably, they would give you better descriptions what the intent is, but it's to get the water, I guess, from the upper parking lot down, other than going over land, over the parking area, which it does, but it's just an easier way for the water to get down.
I understand that, I agree with you, the function of it.
Yep.
I just don't know the validity of it with permitting based on it, that's allowing it to discharge directly into the brook. So that's something that
Okay.
I would recommend to look at, see what's there. Is it tied, could it be possibly tied into something on the lower end, if there's a drainage structure over there? Just free flowing across into a corrugated pipe that's just laid across, like what you said with driving over, that's.
I absolutely agree, it's a 4-inch perforated pipe, I'm not perforated, corrugated pipe.
Corrugated, yes.
And, the water makes its way down to the brook, whether it's through this pipe or overland, it just takes like a little while, a little longer for it to get from A to B, going down across these walls and going flowing the walls and getting into the brook, that's what usually happens without the pipe. So, I will talk to Ms. Lane and see if there's a more kind of permanent, means of getting the water down there. But I don't know if there's any permits that make because of it, because we're not adding any additional impervious areas. We're not proposing any improvements, again, other than the striping.
And then, just going back to the parking aspect of it. So, the parallel parking out front, that's infringing upon the county road, the county right of way. So there's gonna have to be some type of county sign off on that.
That's proposed to be removed before,
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, he's gonna remove that.
Okay, that's good. So that eliminates that.
It does.
Mhm.
All right, and then, any concerns with the railroad that's right there as well?
No, that's what again,
Within
yes.
the railroad area.
No, there's no infringement on there. As a matter of fact, that's probably how this all started. I don't defer against Mr. Lane. So there's a small portion of the concrete pad that goes over onto the railroad property. It's a very small triangular portion, and that's down by the lower building. The railroad had no problem with that. I guess there was some, because the slope goes up pretty precipitously from this back parking lot up to the
Right.
railroad. So they really can't store anything, do anything to impose on the railroad right away. And again, according to discussions with Ms. Lane, the railroad is fine with what exists today and does not plan on doing any more, storage or any disturbance to the railroad right away.
All right, so there's no additional disturbance to that area. Has the railroad been informed of this?
Yes, so again, he's had discussions with the railroad, again, I'll defer to him to a bit
All right.
about the discussions, but they apparently are okay with the way it is now, and there's no plans on changing anything that exists today.
I think it would be good for the board to have some type of correspondence to that report stating that they're okay.
There were also notice, so.
Okay. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but I get that they're noticed. I think something from the railroad stating that they're okay as is. think that'll go a long way of just being noticed.
I understand.
From the engineering perspective, that's what my main concerns are. I do know our planner has a few concerns. Will you be speaking on behalf of the planning? Or-
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not a planner, but I can
Yep.
probably answer some of the questions.
Okay,
Hold on one second, hold on. Go ahead.
You can answer questions, but if you don't have a planning license, you can't give expert testimony on
And
planning.
depending what her comments are, if deemed need be, I'd like to bring the planner back if necessary.
Okay.
So the questions, comments are listed in our report,
Mhm.
so it's based off of that. So if you could speak to that, I understand what you're saying.
Well, I'll start just by saying we may need a planner. This is a D1 variance, which requires expert testimony with a positive and negative criteria. So I can have a dialogue about it, but if we can't accept testimony, then I'm not sure where exactly we go.
You know, and I think factually, we're gonna have to determine that issue because I think it was brought up that this was the operation of a business that's not permitted, which would be the D1 or use variance. But after Mr. Lane's testimony, it's our position that it's parking and not the operation of the business. I'm going to get into detail what he does. At that point, if you feel it's a D1 variance, we can hear from you, we bring the plan into.
Okay, we can hold off on that part of the conversation if you'd like, or if the board would like. I would also just point out that having not received information about prior approvals on the site, nonconformities with the bulk standards are identified as new variances. If there's evidence that, for example, yard setbacks were previously approved, then that's one thing. But having not received them, there's about 8 or 10 C variances and design waivers that also need to be requested from the applicant. They are all identified in the memo, and so I invite you to respond to that as well.
Sure. Why don't we hear from Mr. Lane first?
That's fine.
Then because his testimony will help me to address the existing nonconformities. And then we can see where we are at that point, whether or not it's necessary to have a plan. Okay?
Fine by me, the board gets to decide.
Okay.
I have another question. In terms of the tenant applicant, is this one-story masonry block building part of their use as well?
The one in the front,
In the back.
The back?
In the back.
for storage and whatnot, yeah, I believe it is, yes.
Okay, and then, am I to understand that this application is not only for these 6 vehicles and trailers, but to permit outdoor storage of various types of
Materials and equipment.
materials? Well, that, we'll let Mr. Lane explain more. Okay.
And can I ask one more question about the trailer storage? Are those trailers going to be anchored?
I'm gonna have to have Mr. Lane
Okay,
answer your question.
I got a home run.
I got off the hook. Okay, Mr. Lane,
Here.
without a crystal ball, I think you know
Nope.
some of the
Oh,
questions.
hold on a second.
Please raise your right hand, state your name, spell your last.
Daniel Lane, L-A-N-E.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Lane, are you the sole member, managing member of Lane Contracting? LLC?
Yes.
And what does Lane Contracting do?
We are a landscape and snow removal company.
Okay. And how long have you occupied the site in question?
7 years.
Do you have any municipal approvals or permits or anything to occupy the site?
We all have pulled permits out for the site, yes.
Permits for what?
To have the electrical put in there, the cable, and we don't have a permit for it, but the town comes in and does the fire inspection annually.
Okay. What does Lane Contracting do at this site? And my question is it storage or are you operating a business there?
No, we're not operating a business.
So tell the board exactly what Lane Contracting is.
So we're a landscape and snow removal company, okay? All our equipment is mobile. There's nothing anchored to the ground. Everything is on wheels. It can be moved in a dime. It's in a lower lined area, which there's never been a problem with. But if we ever needed to, everything goes up the hill. It's not a problem. Nothing's getting washed down the hill, nothing down the river, nothing. There's nothing there that remains. There's a few pallets of pavers or blocks. They're not going anywhere either. That's the only thing that's down there. Everything else is a trailer or a truck. It's parked there at night, at 6, 7 o'clock at night. Now it's even earlier because of daylight savings time, and it's out of there by 8 o'clock in the morning. That's it. All it does is come in and goes out, and that's the busy time during the landscape season. Other than that, during the snow season, everything is just about out of there, because everything is projected on properties where the trailers are parked at residential developments and so forth, so there's barely any equipment there, even during the winter season, except maybe a truck that needs to be loaded or whatever.
Mr. Lane, how many employees do you have?
I have 6.
Okay, and how do the employees get there to get the equipment to go to the various jobs?
4 drive in 1 car,
Okay.
and the other 2 come in trucks that don't even remain in my trucks. They come to the job, get what they need, set everything up, and they leave.
Okay. So the four employees that come together leave the vehicle there?
One vehicle.
One vehicle, not in the truck. What is the other business that, not other business, but what business operates at the site?
Mine or the one above?
The one above?
Above is a printing company run by Pat Smith. He's been there for probably about, I think it's 10 or 12 years. He was in Wanacue before that, still on Ringwood Ave. He sold the building, and he bought this building about 12 years ago.
How many employees does he have?
I think he has 3.
And you know his hours of operation?
Yeah, they're not many. He's there probably 9 to 5 at the most.
Does his
Not even
operation
Saturday.
conflict with the storage and bringing in, moving out of your vehicles?
Nothing.
All right. One of the board members had a question about the storage. What is stored in those containers?
There's no containers, it's trailers. It's trailers that come in and out, it's just landscaping or snow removal equipment.
Okay. Are there any materials stored on site?
There's a few things inside that building, but it's all stuff that comes in and goes out. It's nothing, and the town comes and checks, as far as fire prevention and all that, so everything is always passed with that.
Okay. Do you have an office at that site
No.
to operate a business?
No.
Where is your office?
At my home.
You have a home office?
Yes.
Okay. So how about repairs of the vehicles? Is that done on the site?
No. I have mechanics that do that at their own properties.
So is there anything that that business does other than park vehicles or store
Not in that
whatever it's
location.
being stored in? Okay. So you have other locations?
Correct.
By the way, did you grow up in Pompton Lakes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And
My parents live in Pompton Lakes. My mother works for the town. I graduated Pompton Lakes High School. And eventually we'll be moving back to town once my mother passes on down to there, so.
All right. So you're familiar with this site? You have been familiar with this site?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been familiar with this site for a number of years prior to occupying it 7 years ago?
Yes.
Do you know when, or could you give an estimate as to when the improvements were constructed on that site, more specifically the building?
I don't think anything has ever changed, to be honest with you. It was a restaurant at one time, and then it closed down and Pat built the building. That's
Okay.
it.
And do you remember how long the restaurant was there?
It's going back to the 80s.
Okay. And the restaurant, nothing has changed physically
No,
from the footprint or exterior?
nothing.
Has, in the last 7 years that you've been there, has any of the area flooded?
No.
Have you had an issue at all with the railroad over those 7 years?
No, the only problem I had with it was the garbage company up at the top of the building put the dumpster too close to the railroad area, and they wanted the dumpster moved back. So it was just a common error of the dumpster company.
Was that your dumpster or was it the other?
We shared,
Have you had any discussions with the railroad?
Other than that, they looked at the area, they just wanted to make sure as they came there that time that nothing protruded onto their, which is a very high embankment, let's say, of crushed stone that comes down. They didn't want us to disturb it, and we don't. Okay.
So, to your knowledge, what you're proposing here is satisfactory to the railroad?
Yes, and they've told us that.
Ms. Bernstocky's all yours.
So how about what goes into those trailers? Are you going to store, like mulch and things of that nature?
Nothing in the trailers, no. We have a few dump trucks.
Mhm.
If whatever's left over during the course of the day, if there's something in there, that would be the only thing. It would get emptied out at the next job.
If the property were flooded, what would you expect to find floating down the river?
Nothing of mine.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, nothing of mine. And there's nothing I've ever seen, even with some of the hard rains that we've had and all that. It comes down from more of where the quarry is and comes down that way, and there's really been nothing ever in there that I've seen.
Were you here for the flood in the 80s?
Yes, I was involved in that, yes.
That was pretty
Yes.
unbelievable.
I live on Beach. We
Mhm.
lived on Beach then, and we were above the flood area, which was by the milk barn and so forth, but we didn't have any of that problem, but that was pretty horrific.
Okay. Going back to that drain pipe, is there ample room for it to drain off? Has there been any problem with it, with runoff?
No, we just put it there as a prevention. That's really it. It was already there. It ends at a wall, so it looks like it just always discharged off the wall and just ran out. We just hooked the corrugated pipe. It's just there, comes right off. And we just do it so that the water drains it, back into the brook. Doesn't make a muddy surface, that's all. It was already there.
Good, Frank.
Can I ask how many snow plows you have?
Plows, we have 6 or 7.
All right.
They're out in the front.
It seemed like there was more than 6 when I went there yesterday or the day before. So that is included as your vehicles, or it's just equipment?
They'll be gone. Yeah, they're just stored there.
Yeah, but they're stored there.
Yeah, he doesn't mind it being right there on the corner, so we store them there. But once the snow comes, they'll be on a truck and they won't be there anymore.
Right, but do they set them up there, of course? The truck has to come in?
Well, yeah, they're just sitting there throughout this season, but they're going to be on the truck and then they will be on the truck for the season. The trucks are not doing landscaping service, they're set up for snow. Some of the trucks won't even be back there.
So are they included for your parking spots? Because they need to take at least, it seems to me, 2 spots. And you're saying that they're gonna be there during the summer, right?
Oh, they could be, or maybe we could put them in another location, I don't know, we didn't think of that yet, but, I don't know.
I just want some clarity on how much equipment you have, because I also notice you have like Bobcats and things like that. So those things are not necessarily on the trailer. The one I visited, there was a Bobcat sitting right there by the river.
Right.
And the trailer was empty, right? So you're not necessarily utilizing a space, you're using more than one space, right?
Or we could leave them on the trailers, or they're usually on the jobs. We're coming towards the, the conclusion of the season, so equipment is, not being used as much right now, and then all those Bobcats and stuff will be on sites and they won't even be there. The plows will be on the trucks. I haven't really thought about what we were gonna do with those plows come the end of the season. I'm thinking more, let's use them this season,
What about as far as fuel, in terms of where you store any fuel for your small, equipment?
There's a few gas cans in the building, and the rest are in the trailers, and that gets inspected by the town. It's all about the fire equipment inside there, the amount of fire extinguishers that they require, and Keating does the inspections, and we don't have a problem.
And as far as your vegetative waste, do you have a place that you bring that to?
Everything goes to RER.
Where does it go?
RER in Riverdale.
Right by the
Other
armory?
tracks on
Yeah,
Riverdale.
Yeah, I see a lot of, I don't know where there's any control in terms of how much space can be used for storage, in this application, in terms of total usage of the area. And, that's the area that, I have no problem with the number of vehicles that you're talking about, but I do have a problem with no definition on storage, of outside storage.
Yeah, we don't really store much stuff there. Everything,
I've seen how things can accumulate, and once this is approved, it may not be Lane Contracting, it could be a different contractor. And that's where there would definitely be some concerns of how you may operate, but how someone else may operate. And I think that whatever this application has, there's got to be more clearly defined understanding about outside storage, especially right near the river. And from what I saw equipment and I saw things there that you're not necessarily going to pick right up. I mean, barrels and stuff like that. I did a quick look. And who knows, if we go back and forth there, how much stuff is there at any given time?
yeah, that stuff's all daily use stuff. It goes in and out of the trucks depending on what job you're on. And like I said, normally that stuff is in the trucks during the real landscaping season, but we're winding down. We already have salters in trucks already, so we're not storing those barrels and so forth into the trucks. Once we're completely done, 15 more days of landscape season, whatever that stuff is, will go inside the building for storage. Wheelbarrows, cans, and so forth. There's really gonna be nothing out there.
Well,
And like I said, there's 2 or 3 pallets of pavers right now. They're not gonna go anywhere, they're just overstocked, that's it. And we could get them out of there, and I could control it and bring 4 plows down there and park them in that spot when it comes down to the summer season, so they're out of there. You know, they're not at the top, let's say. There's no problem with that.
You know, as council pointed out, the applicant would be amenable to any reasonable restrictions that would be in a resolution if the board were to approve that. So a violation of any of those provisions would subject him to a fine. It's actually an enforcement. And it was subject to him a fine. So it could be restricted by way of a condition in the resolution.
I do have a question regarding a letter from the railroad, a formal letter. You have nothing that.
I have nothing.
it's-
I have nothing.
So that's something I think.
I have nothing
I think
other
that
than
would
the
be
fact
something
that
that we
that
would
was-
want. I know the planner had some questions at this point, right? Didn't you have for?
I mean, in my professional opinion, you absolutely need a D1 variance. Both landscaping businesses are not permitted in the zone, and outdoor storage. And your testimony was that you're storing snowplows there all season. I mean, vehicles are part of outdoor storage. So I don't see, either way you slice it, there's a D1 variance.
Right.
I have one more question. With the salt, how do you store the salt?
Salt goes to each location. And we will have some in some of the vehicles, but it's placed where it needs to be.
But, I understand how you would use the salt, but I'm talking about what state is it in before you use it? Are they bagged
It's bagged.
or dumped
No,
from,
It's bagged,
the bag?
correct.
And where do you store them? Where are you going to store them in the off-season?
We use everything. And if we do, I have another location that gets stored. And we have a main salt bin that we keep the salt, the raw salt in that we load into the hoppers. That excess gets stored with that. at another location.
Is that close to the river?
It's not in this town at all. It's not in Population.
May I ask where it is?
It's in Totowa.
It's all.
Totowa. At a property that we maintain, they allow us to keep it there. That's what that is.
But it's not exposed to the elements?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Based upon the planner's position, if the board has no further questions, this for Mr. Lane, the engineer, I'm going to ask that the Carrie will bring back a professional planner, will address your planner's comments in the engineering report, and she can testify at the next hearing, and we'll have our planner listen and give a
The
report.
next hearing being when?
Well, the scheduled meeting right now is December 26th, which is the day after Christmas. So we are probably going to be moving that until our next hearing, okay, which would be January.
Hold, please. Will be January 23rd.
Okay, so that's when we're gonna move that to.
January 23rd.
Right, we'll carry it to that point.
So for the benefit of the public, this hearing is going to be carried to January 23rd. No further notice will be given.
Okay. Council, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If there's anything else you need from us before we leave, we'll address it.
At this point, I think we are going to carry it.
All right. And that just preserves the right to bring Mr. Lane back to
100%.
testify, as well as Mr. Weiss.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Everyone have a good holiday.
Thank you, you too.
Happy holidays.
Bill Brown, yeah, he's in Tom's River right now, living the retired life. He's back up here all the time. I have, kids around here, my brother's kids around here, so. Oh, yeah, small world, man. I don't, not everybody's doing youth organizations, I coach football, football, wrestling. Great, now Imo's actually. At the Carlos Built right now.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now,
These things will.
back to order, please.
Nice to see you.
We are now gonna move on to the next applicant.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, same to you.
You too.
BOA 23-09,
Hold on.
Cashberg. Please come forward. Sorry, oh, he's here, I'm sorry. John, we're gonna have you sworn in.
Please raise your right hand, state your name, spell your last.
John Casper, K-A-S-P-E-R.
You swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. May proceed. Good set.
Would you like to sit down? Or you rather stand?
I'm okay.
You'd rather stand? Okay. All right, so why don't you tell us about your project?
My project is a
Have a nice holiday.
is a portico over the front door. It's not going any further than the steps that are there. There's one there already. So originally they said, you can't make it bigger, you can put the one that's the same size as there. Then I said, okay, I made it smaller and I'm gonna put it at the same size. And then they said, no, you can't do that because you're taking that one down, so now you need a variance to put another one up. So, my proposal is to make it 5 foot by 7, 5 foot out, 7 foot wide. That's really it, open gable. and nothing, you know, and again, it's just gonna be covering that front porch.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The rain and the runoff will be consistent with what's up there now and drain
Yeah,
properly?
it's going to, the gutters will get tied into the gutters on the front of the house. Look at the same elevation, so yes. So it'll actually be better.
Okay,
Now it just comes down because it's a shed roof, it just comes down off the floor,
right.
right onto the steps.
So now it's
So I'm
gonna
trying to get it to the side, so, you know, it makes
pop
it.
it one off and see. Anyone on the board have any questions? Mr. Casper? No one? Any questions? None? I'll open it up to the public on, regarding the testimony given by the applicant. Anybody from the public like to comment on the application? I see none. So I will close that session. Can I get a motion
Motion to approve as presented.
as presented?
I'll second.
Okay, well, Brimstock and Curran,
Yes. Roll call, please.
okay? Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Abate,
Yes.
Ms. Curran,
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Ms. Brimstock,
Yes.
Mr. Rowan,
Yes.
Mr. Big,
Yes.
Mr. Luciani,
Yes.
and Mr. Fagula.
Yes.
So, your plan has, been approved by the board. Now,
Memorialized at the
You
next
didn't go
meeting.
first.
I know it.
It'll be memorialized at the next meeting, which that, really what that does, that just sets down the reasons why they approved what you asked for. That gets published in the paper, and if anybody wants to challenge it, they can do that within 45 days of that being published. You can judge for yourself the likelihood that that may or may not happen, at what you've seen tonight.
Right.
But the approval has been granted, subject to a court maybe saying, no, it was improper. You judge that. But because that, you can go and ask for your permits if you sign a waiver. It said, I understand this is not completely final yet. As long as you sign a waiver, you can apply for your permits.
Awesome, yeah, I'd like to get it done before the. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You're welcome.
Okay, resolutions, we have none. Unfinished business. Do you have anything on the open space,
I do.
Mr. Jerry?
Reading my notes out.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so, open space, Hirschfield Park Phase 1, should be looking to move forward. It's gonna consist of renovating the structures. Now they're redoing, where the bathrooms are down there. They're gonna renovate it, okay? So they're tearing down, they're gonna renovate the structure instead of replacing. They're gonna add a second floor for storage. They're going to, redo the bathrooms. And then they just need to get the permits for all that stuff to move forward with it, but
Structurally, that building is okay?
structurally it is okay.
Where are they gonna put another second floor?
Right on top.
Above it?
I figured that, but.
You know, I think
There
they
is
were
a-
gonna take it out originally, but then I don't remember the exact reason why, but they couldn't do that for whatever the reason was. So they're just gonna, fix it up, redo everything as this keep the existing structure, tighten it up, redo the bathrooms, put a second floor for the storage. So now they have the garage with the storage. Now they can use that, you know, for whatever they need to do. They got the permits for Willow Field. Okay, they're in hand. You know, a couple things that were concerns with the Willow Field project was there won't be any parking, or it'll be half as much parking. So
where the concession stand is, if you guys are familiar, down in the concession stand, there's like that little strip of parking right there. That will be the only parking down there, which is a concern. They did talk about, we are gonna relook at, if you took the end of where that parking is closest to the soccer field and make it a one-way to come around and then exit that way. So we maybe create, extra parking there. So that was, something that wasn't in the original plans that we talked about, with the plans fixing that up. So that's a concern. They were concerned that people were gonna start to park on the, dead end off of, I guess it's, Riverdale Boulevard. That one road right there, and then they walk down.
They park there now.
Park there now, but that's a concern for people there, double parking and stuff like that. The total cost of the project is a concern. We have approximately, don't quote me on a number, $500,000 to $600,000 in the bank for open space, but the project's gonna cost over, $1 million. So how we're gonna raise the money for that, is something that was discussed.
Is the county chipping in on that at all?
Well, we're still looking for grants and doing things along those lines, but that does include the original money that we were supposed to do it, then we got to extend it. We were supposed to spend it, then we didn't get the permits right away, so then things got extended. So, that was, something that's being discussed on the actual cost of, all the projects.
Jared,
Yes.
are they going to pave the parking lot over near Willow?
No, they can't pave
Yeah.
the road down there.
Because it's flood?
Yeah.
Flood zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
They showed us the picture of, the baseball fields and, a couple of things that also is a concern is the plantings. They want to replant, as they remove certain trees, replace things, but then there's no sprinkler heads. So without water, the plant survival, what plants you put in there, that's a discussion now as far as for the floodway too. Plants that you want to put back into that waterway to replace and help with the flooding aspect of it.
Right.
So there's still a lot to be discussed on Willow Field, to get it to where we need it to be. But at the same token, things are going in the right, where we need to be.
I'm thinking parking is probably one of the bigger concerns, because
It's a major concern.
that's always been a problem down in that area.
Yeah.
For sporting events, there's no place to
I
park.
mean, we all know too, when you have less parking, and I'll talk about Carla next, you get worried about how people park, and they're like maniacs on it.
Right.
And then that becomes an issue too, how people drive, putting a speed bump down there.
It's when they all come out at the end. It's a
You can't get out.
disaster.
It's a concern. I think it could be, worked through.
That's your fault.
Oh, sorry. I did turn it off, I thought.
So Willow Field's moving forward. We have the plans, we have the permits. There's just a lot of things like that that need to be discussed yet, that need to be taken care of. Carlo Field, the work has begun. They just put the new roof on Carlo Field, which is great. That roof was approximately
A bazillion years old.
over 50 years old.
Wow.
So the fact that it lasted that long speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
They redid the siding, all the wood to redo the press box. We're gonna put a wraparound deck around the press box and redo the stairing so people can get up there a lot easier. All the wood's there for that. We cleared out the entire upstairs of the field house at Carlo Field, so everything's gutted and in the dumpster. They took down the tile ceilings to spray paint the tile ceilings, gonna put new flooring, repaint the walls. The locker room that's down there, they're gonna redo the walls down there, paint the inside of the walls, and put new benches in there, because the benches all got broken off down at the floor part of Carlo Field for where the kids go out before the game. So Carlo Field is on the way. I'm expecting to be done within a month. Everything's been issued as far as like payment plan, the contractors, everything's all set to go. So a lot of things happening with open space, which is good.
It's good.
So it's, all good stuff that we're, moving forward on. But that's pretty much.
Thank you for your report. We did make a decision, we're moving next meeting, so we're not gonna have it in December. We're gonna push it until January. So let's make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay? I will open the meeting for public discussion.
I'm sorry.
What?
Pete Jennings just passed away.
Oh, he did.
Sad.
On that note, I'd like to say something about Mr. Begg. Mr. Begg has been a constant at every event in Pompton. Captain, he's going to be sorely missed. I remember being down at the football games and always seeing him and always engaging in conversation with him. So Steve, my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You can be so proud of the work he did.
100%.
He spent about 15 years when I was on the school board with me, and he never had an agenda except what was right for the kids and what was good for the town. He never had his own personal agenda.
Thank you, Mayor.
It was a pleasure.
I remember your dad directing traffic where Ben Franklin's was, when he was fairly new on the force.
Ben Franklin.
Always had never an angry look.
Never. All right, with that, I'm going to close the public session. Can I make a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Everyone have a great holiday. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see everybody in the new year.
Happy holidays, all.
Yeah.